I? Where am I? Where am I? What? Where am I? I must have disappeared. Oh no, I must be like
Where are you? But what do we see? What do we
Stinker
see?
and Hook. Stinker and Hook.
That's crazy.
And because Charlie's wearing a hat for his problems, I'll wear my hat for I don't know whatever reason. But welcome to the show. Now I'll take it off. Yeah, welcome to the Year of the Bird. New time. I guess we'll hopefully have this continue at 11 a.m. UK time. And yeah, obviously got myself some coffee. Get to enjoy the midweek games. Sitting in the automatic top 8 of the Champions League after 3 games. So it's not after 1 or 2 games, because 3 games is a lot further in the competition. But the Premier League is a different story for both of us, somewhat. But yeah, before we get started, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and yeah, Charlie, how you feel?
I mean, I'm not doing very well at the moment because my club are making my eyes bleed whenever I watch them. Like genuinely, yeah, we'll get into it. But apart from that, I'm pretty good. Happy to be back on the show, Year of the Bird, Newcastle Spurs show. If you're watching on whichever channel, Charlie G TV or 10 there, subscribe to both if you haven't already. Get all your thoughts in the chat as well and like both streams as well. But yeah, we'll get into everything today. Quite a lot to talk about. So yeah, I'm sure it'll be a much better show for you than it will be for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, looking forward to it. And yeah, big up 10, big up everyone watching as well.
Yeah, and I guess before we get started, me and Charlie, well, I don't know what he's up to, but we are going to do like a special show, probably a video on Newcastle versus Tottenham because it's next week. So we are not previewing the Carabao Cup game on today's stream. We'll do it either on a stream or on a video sometime. It'll be uploaded sometime next week before the game, obviously. So yeah, the only games we'll preview later on will be the Premier League games over this coming weekend. But yeah, that's just a little announcement. We'll be doing a video or stream for Newcastle United's probably 5-0, 5-1, I don't know, 6-1 demolition next Wednesday. But yeah, but we might as well talk about Newcastle and kind of being demolished, not really by the scoreline, but just the performance. Brighton. I don't know if you watched this game, Charlie, but not a good result for us. Obviously, we are now like what 13th, 14th in the Prem. Um, but yeah, my thoughts on this game. I think the first half, maybe like the first 20, 15 minutes, I think we were good in the game. But obviously, when we previewed Newcastle Brighton, especially at the Amex, we have not won there since Mo Diame. If anyone remembers that goal from not even
long time ago.
Not even in the Premier League. That's how long it's been. So yeah, not good. And obviously Baran in the chat, but yeah, not a good record we have at Brighton. And look, I think we both predicted a draw. It could have actually been a draw, but it ended up as a 2-1 victory for Brighton. But in terms of the match stats, I think Brighton, yeah, you could say the XG was better for Newcastle, but I think Brighton were peppering us basically for the whole game, more or less. In terms of the first half, I think they were much better of a team. Brighton had plenty of opportunities to score. We barely really had anything to show in that game. And then obviously the goal, I'm like, is this guy going to have, like, those certain players that always score against your team? Danny Welbeck. Again.
Yep.
And obviously we'll talk about his second goal later on. But Danny Welbeck scored. I forgot who made the assist for that goal. But I mean, it was a really good through ball in the middle of the pitch. Yeah, you could say that. Yeah. It was a true ball, sort of, towards Danny Welbeck, and it was a pretty easy finish. Chipped it over Nick Pope, and it was 1-0. And at halftime, I was like, I couldn't. I was like, it. It's still, and we'll have to wait till next season at least, unless like we get relegated or something, or they. We have not taken the lead at Brighton at the Amex since Mo Diame. It's been where it'll be at least 8 9 years, 9 years since we actually have taken the lead at Brighton at all. Not in 2017, 18, not 18, 19, and all those years afterwards, and including the other like on Saturday. Um, for some reason, we can't take the lead at Brighton at all in the Premier League. Like never. Not like we don't take the lead and then let's say bottle it and lose 2-1. We haven't taken the lead. We always have to chase the game against them. Um, and then second half, we did make some substitutions uh, to the lineup because to be honest, I don't think any of our players, even the midfield with Tonali, Bruno, Joe Linton, and all, I don't think any of them were that good in this game. I guess the only player that really had any sort of impact was actually one of the subs. I say Lewis Miley was pretty good when he came on for us. I think he got the assist for Nick Voldemort, who
What a goal! What a goal!
yeah, back you could say backheel flick or whatever. Um, really good goal. Really caught Verbruggen out. And it was a really good equalizer. And I think at that time it was deserved that we at least had a goal because I think we deserve at least one goal. And it was a really good goal. Probably you could say perhaps one of the goals of the weekend, probably the goal of the Premier League this past weekend. And that's what up until the game on Tuesday, Voldemort had like what 5 shots on target, 5 goals, something crazy like that. So far, like he scored, I think in every Premier League game so far he's played for us except Bournemouth 0-0. If I think, I have to remember, but yeah, he continues his good goal scoring form, whereas a certain I have to disappear for a bit. Stinker and hooked.
Stinker and hooked.
Oh God. I mean, obviously Isak is not with us anymore, but to be honest,
look, Voldemort doing better than him right
yeah,
now.
so
He's
far,
doing better than him.
even Liverpool's other striker Ekitike is doing better, and he's getting benched. The last game against Man United, obviously I know he scored last night, but yeah, on this game Brighton Newcastle, when it was 1-1, I was like, okay, can we at least try to hold on? And then more chances that
Danny Welbeck again.
Yeah.
This guy loves scoring against you guys. I can't lie. He always scores against Newcastle.
Yeah, and he's also former Sunderland, I believe, which is.
Well, I know
worse.
he's former Arsenal. I know that.
So it's even worse for both of us, I guess.
Well, he doesn't really score against us. I don't really remember him scoring too many against us.
I mean, the 2-2 you had the other week.
Yeah, no, it wasn't Welbeck. It wasn't Welbeck.
Yeah, but yeah, really, I guess you could say really good goal. You could say bad defending, and then Welbeck slotted it in. And when it was 2-1, I was like, okay, I think it's game over because I think we've done so much to try to bring it back to 1-1. To try to do it again, make it 2-2, I think it would be too much for us. And ultimately, that's what decided his goal. The second goal decided the game, 2-1. And in terms of us in the Premier League table, we're 13th, I believe. Yeah, no, 14th. On 9 points, we're 4 points above the relegation zone, and we are, in terms of the top 4 race, 6 points behind. But, you know, the team in 4th is Liverpool, and Liverpool are known for losing in the Prem. So I think it's we can catch up.
Your hate watch is ripe. I can't lie. Your Liverpool hate watch is like
Uh,
perfect. I know they won yesterday, but outside of that, your hate watch is perfect. Big up to Angus as well. Did you say Welbeck in 2014-15? Didn't we beat you guys in 14-15? I think in 2-1 in Kane. I don't know. I don't know if he scored. Maybe he did. But yeah, look, he loves scoring against Newcastle. That's for sure.
yeah.
But yeah, big up to Angus every single time.
Yeah. But yeah, not in terms of the Premier League table, obviously, thankfully, later on we'll talk about the Champions League table. It will be a lot better for me. But in terms of the Premier League table, we've only scored 7 goals, albeit we are actually the one of the best. We're like the top 4 in terms of the goals conceded. We only conceded 7, but we haven't scored 7. We scored 7, which is not a lot.
I mean, it's bonkers that we've scored in the Premier League. We've scored double the amount of goals that you have, and you know my thoughts on our attack, which obviously I'll get to in a bit. But that's crazy because I think your attack's better than ours. So for us to score double the amount of goals that you have it's kind of crazy, to be honest.
Yeah, and obviously Spurs are a lot higher up in the league. But yeah, in terms of us, we've only won 2 games out of 8. That being Wolves. At least I have experience with that. I don't know about you. And what's the other one? Nottingham Forest, but that was with Big Ange, who's unfortunately been sacked.
Yeah, he's gone. Sad times.
But at least
I'll talk. By the way, later on in the show, I do have something to say about Ange because, yeah.
Oh God.
There is something I will need to say about Ange later in the show.
Yeah, but so far 2 wins out of 8 in the Premier League. Not good, obviously at the moment. I think. Hopefully, because of we'll talk about the Benfica game. Hopefully, that brings some confidence into the game we'll preview a bit later. But yeah, not great from us. Charlie, what are your thoughts on this victory for Brighton?
Yeah, look, it was a game where big up to Baron as well. Yeah, we will get to this. Don't worry. I have a lot to say about this. But on Newcastle against Brighton, listen, it's kind of what my title says. Newcastle league lows. Champions League highs, but in the league, if we're being honest, right, it's nowhere near good enough for you guys. I mean, you should. I know it's still very early. It's only 8 games, so there's not one part. There's not one part of me that thinks that Newcastle are going to finish where they are right now, which is in the bottom half.
I hope,
but like you're much better than so many of these teams that are above you, including Sunderland. I must add. If I
mean, they haven't played the only. You can say Big 6, like traditional Big 6. They've only played as Man United.
And they're probably they're one of the worst ones from the traditional Big 6.
11 people watching, as far as I see.
Oh, 11. Big up to everyone watching. That is great to see. Big up to every single person. But like I was saying on Newcastle, your performance, it was not good enough. It needs to be better in the sense that I know that, you've had a bit of a slow start to the season in terms of the whole Isak thing, getting in Voltemada late, Visser being injured as well. I think Visser would give you guys something. I know Voltemada's doing well, but I think Visser gives you something else, a different type of striker coming off the bench or starting, can play on the left. I think he would just give you more of an attacking options. And I think obviously he's a player that can get goals in the Premier League. But yeah, look, the Brighton game, I thought Brighton deserved to win, if I'm honest, in the end. I thought they were the better team. I mean, maybe you could say a draw would have been fair. I thought, like you said, second half, Newcastle, they upped the intensity. They were pushing harder. And eventually they got the equaliser. I mean, it was incredible goal from Voltemada. And that's, if you're going to take a big positive from Newcastle this season, it is Voltemada. Like, he has come in, he's hit the ground running, basically. He broke the record that Shearer had, scoring in his first however many games for Newcastle. So, for me, I don't really know what's going on. I mean, you've had some tough games at the start. I know you've played Liverpool, you've played Arsenal, you've played Bournemouth and Brighton, who are 2 bogey teams for you guys. So you haven't had the easiest start, but at the same time, you scored 1 goal away from home, and you scoring 7 goals. I think for me is, it's not good in the sense that I think you guys just should be scoring a lot more, if I'm honest. And you're scoring in the Champions League, but in the Premier League, it's a different story. And I think that, you guys, I think, have to sort it out. But, I mean, I'll ask you this, because obviously, look, Angus, boring Tottenham. boring Tottenham. I'll tell you what's not boring is winning this. That was not boring. Well, the game was pretty boring. So if you're a neutral, but not for me. But yeah, no, like I was saying, I was going to ask you, Ten, because obviously you're watching Newcastle a lot more closely than I am. I mean, how do you kind of look at your start to the season? Because from an outsider, I look at it and say, I think you've massively underperformed so far, and I think that, you know, with your players, with the quality, I'm not saying your squad's perfect, but with the quality of some of your players, especially that midfield, I think you guys should be doing way better than what you are right now. I mean, how do you kind of look at it, kind of your start to the season? Because I would say that, you know, a lot, I think, needs to improve, if I'm honest.
Yeah. Actually, I wouldn't say I think I kind of actually predicted it in terms of like how well we've done. Um, not in the Prem, but I kind of expected the Premier League season to kind of start slow because of all the situation with a certain. Is he a striker? I'm not sure. I don't know if he's a striker or I don't know, but but you know, had that situation, had a pretty tough start in terms of the fixtures. So in terms of seeing us 14th, obviously not good.
You know, you
But
should not be. That my point is, you shouldn't be there. You should be nowhere near 14th. Angus,
but
that's Baron. Big up to Baron. Yeah, it's not surprising. But Angus, I see your Angus. Listen, you know, we won a trophy last season. You still haven't won anything in 5 years, so I see no difference there. It is what it is.
You know, I saw on I think AFTV they kind of did like, could Arsenal do a historic double Champions League Premier League? That's why I saw one of the AFTV
They don't
videos.
learn. Listen, Arsenal are playing. Look, I'm not. Look, Arsenal are playing fantastic football right now. They've hit a really good run of form, but they don't learn. Listen, AFTV doesn't surprise me in the slightest. They don't learn. They really don't learn. So we'll see. We'll see at the end of the season. Like they said, it's about how you finish. It's not about how you start.
Yeah. But in terms of our start to the season, not been good in terms of the Premier League. But I actually did say, when it comes to Europe, which we'll get to a bit later, I'm not surprised that we are actually performing well because obviously Champions League, you want to turn up and show up. But I'll save that topic when we talk about our game later. But the Premier League start not been great. Hopefully, because we have, you could say, favorable fixtures before the next international break. Obviously, we'll preview our game at home to Fulham and then away at West Ham and then away at Brentford. So we're playing against all the London teams, actually plus Spurs, but we'll talk about that in the Cup show or preview, which if anyone has just joined, we are doing like a special video or stream.
Yeah, it'll be a separate show basically for the Carabao Cup game next week. So.
Yeah, so we won't preview it today, but you'll see it before the game, our preview. But yeah, just the start to the season hasn't been that good in the Premier League, and probably what makes it, I think the one that makes it worse is that the fact that we play pretty good teams, whereas Sunderland are on 14 points. So they're basically almost like double the points, more or less, from us. Obviously, Sunderland haven't played like the sort of big teams, and they play Chelsea next. So Chelsea.
You never hear me saying that.
That's why I'm wearing blue. You know, Chelsea.
Listen, just as well, Angus, you're doing it again. Listen, I can't wait for you guys to be humbled in May again. That's all I'm gonna say. Because you're humbled in May. You're humbled in May every year. So
yeah. And my thoughts on Voldemort having come so late and not having much time. Isak could have. Yeah. My thoughts on Voldemort so far the signing of our season. I don't know about the whole Premier League, but maybe there's a case because he's actually scoring. Because without his goals or even his link-up play, I don't think we score 7, probably 2. I don't know, but I think so far he's done well. At the moment, as of today, it seems like we got the good end of the deal, unlike Liverpool at the moment. Hopefully that continues. It would be funny if Isak's GA in the Premier League is like this by the end of the season. I don't think it will, but we'll see. But
Listen, Voltemada's come in. He's hit the ground running.
yeah,
He's come in and he's doing it, which is obviously it's a bit unusual because you look at Bundesliga players. You're seeing what's happening with Wirtz. You're seeing what's happening even with Xavi Simons as well.
yeah.
And in the past, many of them. Listen, Angus, you win nothing. It is what it is. I know for a fact that you win nothing. It is what it is. But but yeah, look, like I was saying, it's interesting with the Voltemada's come from the Bundesliga where players often take time to adapt. But he's come in and he's hit the ground running, and I think that's obviously a very good sign because you see it a lot that attacking players from Germany they struggle to kind of come in, adapt to the league.
Yeah, even look at Benjamin Sesko as well. Another
Sesko, I don't think is as good as the money suggests, if I'm honest.
Yeah, but also we could have actually signed him, Sesko. So imagine how things would have turned out. But yeah, Voltemada so far obviously been really good. I think what kind of helps Voltemada is that Johan Wissa is injured, so he has to start basically in the games. Like the only game I think he hasn't started since he's come in was the Barcelona game. Unfortunately, what could have been? We could have been on 9 points. Who knows in that Champions League? We would have been with.
But it's the same. But it's the same with the league, right? Because when you look at the league. Yeah, listen, it's one. We won that one trophy you're talking about is a trophy that your club has never won. So it is what it is. But
they win the
yeah, no, big up to Angus. It's all banter.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I was saying with Newcastle in the league, it's kind of been a similar pattern in the sense that there's been games Liverpool, Arsenal, where you should have at least drawn both those games. I think kind of conceding last minute winners, and then you look at. So in actuality, you should be on more points. When you look at the other games away from home, Villa, you should have that Villa game, you should have won about 2-3-0 that game. So I think there's been games where Newcastle, it's been a lot of fine margins. You guys just haven't got over the line. And it's been kind of, a very tight situation. Like you haven't been battered at all. Like you haven't kind of had one of the. I don't look at Newcastle and say you've had any performance where you've been totally played off the park. If that makes sense.
I mean, they've been.
You've just been
somewhat.
Maybe Brighton. That might be the worst one, which is obviously kind of the most recent one. But I would say overall, the good thing is that you're not getting played off the park. But at the same time, I don't think you're doing enough to go and win these games. If that makes sense.
Yeah. So that's why I think the next 3 games, because after the international break, it's Man City at home, I think. Yeah, at home. So at St. James's. So that's going to be our next sort of big Premier League.
See, that's one where you'll probably turn up, I reckon.
Yeah, but we have to turn up against Fulham, West Ham, Brentford, teams that last season have beaten us mostly.
Yeah.
Obviously in that Arsenal game, Newcastle Arsenal. But overall in the games so far in the Prem haven't looked that good. Because I remember at the start of the season before the transfer window closed, the topic would be like, oh, if only Newcastle had a striker, Newcastle would go on and win games. Since then, we've only won 2 games out of 5 since the transfer window closed. So, it hasn't really been the.
I mean, I'll ask you this.
It's not the black and white. Oh, if Newcastle sign a striker, we win the 5 games.
I'll ask you this though, right? You were, as we all know, you were Eddie Howe out until he won the Carabao Cup. So I'll ask you this question, right? Obviously, where you are in the league, it's not good. How long do you give it until your opinion might change again to being Eddie Howe out again? Even though I thought it was harsh before, because I think Eddie Howe obviously took you guys from relegation to Champions League in 12 months, basically.
Yeah.
But kind of for you, I know you weren't too happy before. So kind of what for you needs to kind of how long do you give it, sort of thing?
Oh, if we get embarrassed next week, midweek, I'm not saying that would be the mark of how out for this season. I'd say I would say for the competitions, Premier League, I kind of expected us not to start well, but and that was actually what it was like last season. We only really got started in like December, basically.
Well, you were getting results though. I remember you were like getting results. It was kind of like us at the start of this season, at the very beginning, where we weren't great, but we were getting results. So
Yeah,
I think it just depends, kind of like, obviously a big up to FC25 as
we'll
well.
find out next week.
We'll find out, but I think it just depends on kind of, can you keep your players fit? Because I think if you get injuries, that's another, especially in midfield. If you get injuries in midfield, I think that's a problem. But
I mean, at fullback, that's the main concern now, because it's Trippier and Burn, and we'll talk about the Benfica game. But also, I think Dan Burn was kind of cooked in this Brighton game as well, up against wingers, Yankuba Minif, former Newcastle. But yeah, just the start of the season hasn't been that good for us, and hopefully, then I think when we preview Fulham, we have to. That's a game that I would say, based on what happened on Tuesday, I hope that brings some confidence, because I think we needed that win on Tuesday. But we'll talk about that later. But yeah, I guess we can move on, because I do want to hear your tears. But this is because we both. Actually, I said 3-0 as my prediction. Tottenham against Aston Villa.
Oh my God.
The Villa. I predicted a 3-0 win for Tottenham.
Yeah. I was like, there's no way we'll win 3-0. I said that.
Yeah. So, and I'm not even a Spurs fan, but don't worry. We're used to beating Spurs at home, at least. Sometimes away, but yeah. After 38th season, last season,
yeah.
Well, obviously, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
big up to Philly as well.
Villa. I'll let you go.
Yeah, I mean, you said 3-0. I don't think we're in a position where I think we're going to beat any team convincingly right now. I think that. I mean, I said we'd win by 1 goal, like 2-1. I think I said.
I mean, you were winning.
We were winning, but we scored after 5 minutes, and that was it, really. Like, it was kind of like we scored after 5 minutes.
A good goal.
It was. I mean, it was a good. Again, who created the goal? It was Kudus, and obviously we'll talk a lot about this, because Kudus is that he headed. It was a great cross. Obviously, Palhinha heads it back to Bentancur. But listen, this Villa game, I did a video about it, and I was pissed, because I fully understand that Villa scored 2 very good goals. I mean, especially Morgan Rogers. It was a fantastic finish. Even Buendia's one in the second half was a fantastic finish. But listen, what was the story of this game? The story of this game was, once again, I mean, first of all, when we scored the first goal, I was optimistic. I was like, look, we look decent. We look like we're, gonna come out to play today. But when we scored, we got progressively worse. And part of that was to do with the midfield again. There's no balance when you have Palhinha and Bentancur in the same midfield. What Sarr has done wrong, I have no idea, because Sarr was actually one of our best players so far this season. I don't really think Villa's squad is that. I don't really think their squad is that great, to be honest.
I think
they do have as a top manager. And Unai Emery, what I think he did was learn from last year. Because last year, Spurs, I know it was a different manager, so it's hard to kind of compare too much, but Spurs beat Villa 4-1 last season. The reason we won that game is because Villa, for whatever reason, came to Tottenham and did this super high line tactic. I don't know what Unai was thinking, but he came to our ground and played a high line last season. And when a team plays a high line against us, we can be dangerous. We are a team that is very good in the transitions. When we have space, we are capable of scoring goals. It's been proven. But the problem we've got is that when there's no space, our forwards, whoever it is, we don't know what to do. Whenever there's a team that's not, by the way, I always have to say this, right? Whenever people say, oh, there's no space, people think it's a low block. I'm not even talking about a low block, because to beat Spurs, you don't even have to play a low block. All you need to do is just not play a high line, basically. All you need to do is just not push up, push your fullbacks up, leave space in behind. That's all you need to do. And yeah, exactly. And this is what I don't get. He hasn't been starting the last however many games.
Yeah, he's been really good.
Yeah. And like I said, with this Villa game, all Villa did, and Villa weren't even that good, by the way. I looked at Villa and I was like, I'm not impressed with them whatsoever. But they did one thing that was our biggest weakness. And that one thing is having no space to run into. As soon as a team blocks off the spaces, we cannot score a goal. We cannot attack. We don't know what to do. And that's why we lost the game. And this is, people are wondering why we're playing worse at home than we are away. The reason we're playing worse at home is because when you're the home team, there's more responsibility for you to attack and play on the front foot. And we don't like doing that. For me, I look at this current Spurs team and I feel we're purely a counter-attacking team. We don't have what it takes to control a game. I don't think we have the players. We don't have what it takes to control the game. We don't have what it takes to open up a team. And this is spot on. When there is space in behind, I believe we can. That's how we win games. That's how we score goals. And I think generally we're one of the best teams in transition in the league, purely on transition. But when it comes to trying to open up a team, I think we're the worst. I think we're one of the worst teams at doing that in the league by far. So that's what this Villa game was. Not helped by the fact that after we scored, we got progressively worse. And that we couldn't. But again, it comes down to our inability to control the game. Our inability to just essentially dominate teams, basically. And just kind of, keep possession. And look, I don't even think possession's everything. But the problem you've got is even if you want to play a game without possession, even if you want to kind of sit back, play a low block and stuff, it's important that when you get the ball, you do something with it. But the problem with us is that we continuously give the ball away. We lack so much technical ability in so many areas. And I'll be honest, right? In terms of our midfielders, look, I think individually, a lot of them are good players. I mean, Palhinha has been great for us. Bentancur, I think, on his day, is a good player. And then you've got guys like Xavi Simons, who I think, look, he hasn't been good the last few games, that's for sure. And yeah, exactly. He hasn't been good. But at the same time, he's adapting. And everybody knows he's a player that does have a lot of quality. But obviously, he's adapting at the moment. So our midfielders, obviously, you've got Sarr, who's played really well this season, who for some strange reason has been dropped. And you've got Bergvall, who had a stinker yesterday, but he's not a number 10. He's a number 8. And he's much better in that position. So for me, the problem we've got is that whatever it is, Frank hasn't got the midfield balance right. And yeah, I think our squad in certain, not in every area, but in a lot of areas, it is average. Because you look at the attack, which I'm going to talk about now. They are horrendous, and this is what I'm going to say here. Kudus is the only player that looks dangerous in any way. Yes, we have injuries. Look, it's important to remember as well that yesterday against Monaco, Spurs had 10 players out. Like, I'm not saying that's an excuse because it isn't an excuse, but it's a factor in why we're struggling to create and score goals, because 2 of those players are 2 of our number 10s, Maddison, Kulu, both out. That's a lot. Even I'm not saying he's amazing, but Solanke as well. That's a lot of goal contributions from last season that are gone. Like, obviously, Son left as well. These players, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 players from our attack / attacking midfield, taking 4 players out that were regular starters for us that actually contributed to most of our goals. Taking all of them out, there's going to be a massive drop-off. And like I said, I'm not saying that, someone like Solanke's, the most amazing player, but I think he is better than Richarlison. And I think that's clear because Richarlison, I told everybody, it was a purple patch at the start of the season. He does nothing. He does absolutely nothing. And I know he didn't start against Villa, but when he came on, he didn't impact the game whatsoever. The reality is that it's absolutely horrendous that injuries or not injuries, right? We're in a position where Odobert and Tell are starting together. 2 players that are raw, that aren't developed, that don't have what it takes to play in the Premier League for us right now. It's as simple as that. We should not be relying on these players. We've got nothing to come off the bench. that's really going to change the game for us in a positive way. And we wonder why we are where we are. You know, injuries aren't helping, but overall, our attacking, when I specifically talk about the attack, our attacking options are not good enough. They're not gonna win you a game on their own. This is what I keep saying. That Villa game, I'm not saying Villa are amazing, because I don't, like I said, I think people over. I'll be honest. I think Unai Emery's fantastic, but I think as a team, people overrate Villa. If I'm being honest.
Yeah.
And the difference they had with the compared to what we had was that they found 2 moments out of nothing. I mean, the Buendia goal in the second half, you could argue, was a bit of a sucker punch. Not that we were playing well, just purely to do with the fact that Villa weren't really doing much either. I didn't really feel threatened by Villa at that point. I know we weren't doing anything, but up until they scored in the second half, they didn't really look like scoring against us, if I'm honest. So that's the difference. They found moments out of nothing. But with us, I look at our forward players and I'm like, do you trust any of them to carve a goal out of nothing? You know, edge of the box, just put one bottom corner, top corner, you know, just from nothing. We don't have any players that can do that apart from maybe Kudus, but then he can't carry the whole attack on his own. And maybe Simmons, but Simmons is developing into it right now. So for me, and yeah, exactly, you know, we have players starting that shouldn't be anywhere near our starting lineup. It's as simple as that. And yes, that Villa game, that's what it is. Didn't give us space. No space equals no goals. It's as simple as that. And unfortunately, it's going to be like this until we can buy better players. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
Because, look, we have to fix it. And yes, I think there are things that Frank can do that will improve the situation, which like I said, the midfield, he's getting it wrong at the moment. And even the attack. I suggested that we should go to 3 at the back. But then even now, we can't even play 3 at the back because Romero's injured. Luckily, not a serious injury, apparently. He's only going to miss maybe a couple of games. But, you know, we can't even play a 3 at the back now. But before Romero got injured, I was saying, play 3 at the back. Because if you play 3 at the back, you're less reliant on your attack because there's less attackers on the pitch, just naturally. And we can use the wing-backs because at Spurs, we have natural wing-backs. The players we're playing at fullback, Porro, Udogie, Spence, these players are naturally wing-backs. They came to Spurs as wing-backs. They were all signed under Conte. They're all wing-backs. So if we play these players as wing-backs, we can get creativity from those areas of the pitch. But I don't know why Frank's not doing it. I mean, I know we lost against PSG in the Super Cup, but you could see when we went to 3 at the back in that game, we actually looked good. We actually looked like we can do something. And since then, we haven't seen it once, and I don't understand why. So if I'm going to look at Frank, like I said this yesterday, this season, I'm not going to blame the manager. I'm only going to critique the manager for certain team selections and lineups, like I have been doing over these last couple of games. But I'm not gonna be too hard on Frank because he's still figuring out who he wants, who he doesn't want, who's good, who isn't good, and what his best team is. Plus, I don't think it's his fault that he has, you know, apart from Kudus, not any really good forwards to work with. Like, there's only so much any manager can do with this. So Frank deserves this season to adapt, to figure things out. And then hopefully in the summer, you know, or in January, starting with January, we improve this team because that's the only way it's going to get better. We have to have better forward players that can contribute to opening up teams that don't give us space and can score goals on a consistent basis. And until that happens, you know, we're going to struggle. And whatever Frank does, he might be able to do something that can improve the situation, but it's only going to improve it so much. And listen, we're in trouble, if I'm honest. And this Villa game was shocking, disgraceful, that second half. You know, as soon as, let's be honest, right? There's not one person, as soon as Villa scored, there was still about 20 minutes to go. Everyone knew the game was over. Everyone knew that the game was over. And that, for me, is a big problem.
Yeah. And my thoughts,
what's your thoughts? Yeah, what's your thoughts
on the Villa game for Spurs? I only really just watched most of the highlights. I think Villa did really well. I think from what I see, the midfield of Villa did better, protected the defense for Villa. But I would say the first goal, the Benfica goal, really good. The fact that the two players that you say don't work as a double pivot, Paulinho and
Yeah.
Benfica, combining for a
But
goal.
if you look at the rest of the game, you'll see that it's
Yeah. But then I think the two goals that Villa scored, you could say it's kind of, what do you call it? It's like I wouldn't say a surprise, but more like you don't expect it. That sort of goal,
But even when Villa scored, right, I know it was a great finish, but I forgot to say this. We shouldn't have given away the ball. Oh, I wish we had a player like Tchouaméni. I wish we had a player as good as that. But in terms of Villa, the goal they scored was a great finish. Take nothing away from it.
Actually, both of them.
But we gave the ball away so cheaply. We were messing around with the ball, and we should have just kept the ball. We gave it away when we didn't need to.
Yeah, and I think that's probably perhaps the problem for let's say the midfield, as you said about Benfica and Paulinho not working together. I guess you can talk about that on the Monaco pod later. But I think the Villa game, I think it's kind of like egg on both of our faces because I said 3-0 for Spurs.
I said 2-1, but it was 2-1 the other way around.
Although I do remember that I in the last show I did say, oh, Villa, they've gotten a little bit better at Spurs in this stadium. So maybe I wasn't that surprised, but I thought maybe this season not much. But yeah, I think for Spurs against Villa, not good enough. And I think that form carried on to the game we'll talk about a bit later against Monaco. But I guess in terms of the Premier League table for Spurs, it's a lot better than Newcastle. And thankfully, Sunderland. And what do you call this? You're only behind Chelsea, I believe, in the table. But yeah, really good viewing for you at the top.
I can't look at the table. I mean, Angus is probably still watching. But listen, we're talking the October champions have arrived. The October champions.
And
congratulations.
But yeah, for Spurs being in 6th right now, but, in terms of the goal scoring, I guess
there we go.
So far. Go up.
No.
No, scroll down. Where's Newcastle?
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the shocking thing for you guys. You have to scroll down just to see Newcastle.
Yeah, but for Spurs in the Premier League table at the moment, I think not really that bad.
Oh, Baran, please give Tchouaméni's an instant upgrade for us. I'd love Tchouaméni.
I would love as well. But yeah, for Spurs, 4 wins. Well, actually, half of the games have been wins for Spurs. I'll be honest, it's probably where I expected Spurs. I did say Spurs finished like 6, 7. Actually, I said 6 at the start of the season. So far on track, Spurs to finish 6. So I think in terms of the first 8 games of the season, I would say it's not surprising. I would say it's not like Ange's first season where he was like top of the league after 8 games or something. But
yeah.
But I think this is kind of where I expect Spurs to be by the end of May. So I think it's more about not being consistently shit for some.
Here's the thing, right? Like I said, Frank is still adapting to his new club, his new team. I think fans, I'll say this straight away. Yes, I think Frank has made some mistakes in the past few games, sure. And Frank, look, he still has to prove himself at Tottenham. That's clear. Frank still has to prove himself at a bigger club than Brentford. Can he kind of deliver what we as Tottenham fans want? And what remains to be seen. He obviously needs time to prove that. What I will say is, I think I'm seeing a lot of Spurs fans say Frank out. I think that's ridiculous. I think that is ridiculous to say because clearly, they don't really understand football for me. And they're saying Frank out, but then the question is, who would they want right now? And secondly, what's even worse is that all of these fans want Ange back as well. Like, it's bonkers to me. Not all of them, but I'm seeing a few fans say Frank out, bring Ange back. Like, it's bonkers to me. Yes, Ange won the Europa, which I'll always be thankful for, and he'll always be remembered. But at the same time, I can guarantee you this: if we kept Ange, right, we would be looking at sacking him right now. Everyone would be saying Ange out right now if we kept him. I guarantee it.
Sad. But and look what happened to Ange, you could say at Forest. But yeah, in terms of the Premier League table, I don't know why first place isn't shown, but okay. But
no, we're not doing that.
Good reading for Spurs in terms of like, you're only like in a way, second place Man City are only 2 points ahead.
Well, listen, we had the chance to go second and we didn't take it. We had the chance to kind of be higher up in the league, and we didn't take it. Listen, 8 games means nothing. 8 games is so early. Like I said, it's not about how you start, it's how you finish. Which is why I even look, to be fair, when I did my preseason predictions, I even said that I reckon Spurs will start slowly this season and end better than how we start, which is obviously a lot different to the last couple of years, especially Ange's first season, where we started amazingly and then we had an absolutely shambolic ending. And this is the thing with the start we've made. I don't think is great. I don't think it's very good in terms of we're sixth right now. We've kind of, lost and drawn the same amount of games as we won. Look, it's not, it's not a particularly good start in the sense that, look, obviously we want to be higher and stuff. But here's the thing. We have to remember, like I said, there are clear problems in this team. With injuries, without injuries, there are problems. And, Frank is figuring it out. But also, what I was going to say was that, you look at this. I mean, 14 goals scored. We're apparently the most clinical team in the league with like XG. We've overperformed our XG more than any team in the league. And that for me isn't sustainable. And listen, it's not great. I mean, kind of, yeah, like I said, I felt like we'd start a bit slowly this season in comparison to like Ange's first season, for example. But the difference, I guess, if you're looking at a positive from this, is that we're not look, it's not good that we're not starting as well, but at the same time, I don't think we're going to be as bad as we were in the second half of that season. I don't think we're going to be as bad as that. And it's about finding the balance and then hopefully moving forward. And that's the hope I have with this, is that right now, it's very sort of a mixed bag. It's up and down. Look, results haven't been terrible, but in terms of performances, it's an extremely mixed bag. But at the same time, we're not losing a lot of games. I know we just lost to Villa, but we have lost 1 in our last 9 in all competitions. And that's obviously a direction we want to be going in, because the big criticism of us, and rightly so last season, was that we're too easy to beat. We're too easy to play against. And Frank has come in and he's clearly prioritized making us harder to break through again. And listen, that is one of the improvements we've seen so far in a lot of games this season, just purely based on the fact that we're not losing loads and loads of games, even though it's still early.
Yeah, and I think that's probably where Spurs are at the moment, at least in the Prem. We'll talk about the Champions League. I guess we might as well talk about the glorious nights of the Champions League, at least for me.
I mean, just quickly as well. I mean, you look at this. It's not good at all.
Oh God. Well, I mean, you're happy with the team in the bottom, you could say.
Yeah, hopefully Wolves go down. I really do.
Yeah, but yeah, in terms of Champions League nights, obviously the big one, not Barcelona Olympiacos. It was Newcastle versus Benfica, 3-0 victory. Yeah. And for some reason, do we just turn up at night? Like,
you're like PSG. You're like PSG. Only play at night.
Yeah, like the only game we lost at night. Well, actually 2 games. Barcelona, but it's Barcelona and Liverpool, because that was a late Monday night kickoff. But we played, pretty well in this game against Benfica. I think the first half was quite even between the two teams, I would say. I think Benfica had chances. Obviously, I did a watch long, so you could see my reactions to whatever happened in the game. But the first half, I think we were definitely the better team, but Benfica had chances, and that was because Luke Bacchio was up against Dan Burn. I wasn't surprised that Luke Bacchio was I would say out of all the Benfica players, I would say the man of the match, Luke Bacchio, and no surprise, he's one of the best ones along with Bananchea. But I think Luke Bacchio was really good in that first half. He hit the post. He had Nick Pope made a save after cooking Dan Burn. Dan Burn was burnt from that chance, but
we never got to see Dan Burn against Yamal. Oh, I'm gutted. We never got to see it,
and we still lost anyway. But I think once we got a little bit of a hold of the game against Benfica, in terms of like trying to continue to attack, because I think Benfica are at the moment, even with the great Jose Mourinho, they kind of, I'd say Benfica were kind of easy to get at in terms of like trying to create chances and all that. And then we got the first goal, a good true ball from Bruno, and then towards Jacob Murphy, who just like, across the 18-yard box. And Anthony Gordon was, you could say, kind of free, and scored, which he becomes the first ever Newcastle United player to score in 3 consecutive Champions League games. He scored against Barcelona, Union, and now Benfica. And he is currently, I believe, second place in the Golden Boot, the Golden Shoe, you could say, in Champions League. So, hey, if Mbappe doesn't win, it would be funny if he would. No, it'll be, I don't know what's funnier. Anthony Gordon winning it, just because it's us, or...
Oh my God! If he wins, well, isn't he top? Isn't Rashford like the top goal scorer right now?
I think he's
didn't he score like 2 goals against Olympiacos, and then obviously
so he's second place.
Yeah,
so he's in good contention. But yeah, that the first half I would say was more even between the two teams, but second half I think I barely saw anything from Benfica that second half. Like they only had actually on FootMob, if I remember, because I know they did nothing. They had 2 shots, both off target, and those were like, row Z type of shots. Second half, way better from us. I'd say probably the best second half we played ever so far this season. Benfica, I mean, they're one of the 2 teams now on 0 points in the Champions League, so at least Spurs on that. Even though I feel like they probably
should be on 0. We should be on 1 point. We should be on 1 point, I would say.
Yeah. But overall, Harvey Barnes came on later on in the game and scored 2 goals. Well, actually, his first goal, the second goal we scored, it was a ball whipped in towards Nick Pope. And I remember in my watch on, I'm like, how Nick Pope is with like throwing the ball, like if you remember the Arsenal game, last minute he did the Hollywood throw, and then eventually Arsenal scored later on immediately from the corner. This time, for some reason, I don't know if he either learned his lesson or said like, okay, Arsenal defense or Benfica defense, which one is easier? At Benfica defense, and he threw it all the way, literally, and Harvey Barnes was chasing it. Andre Silva couldn't, kick the ball out. He missed it. And Harvey Barnes was basically 1-on-1 and scored to make it 2-0. And at that point, it was game over, I would say, because I don't think Benfica would have. I think the best Benfica would have gotten was probably a draw if they were very lucky. But at 2-0, I think it was already game over. And then, obviously, the third goal, good 1-2. Obviously, Nick Valdemar link up, with like a back heel back to Gordon, and then Gordon passing it to Harvey Barnes with pretty much a very easy finish on the true bin. But yeah, I think that after that third goal, we made some substitutions. I think this is also, I believe, because I don't remember a time, the first time an entire game we didn't have Sandro Tonali at all.
Wow.
I know he was.
Yeah, they rested him, didn't they?
Yeah, he had like an illness.
Oh.
So thankfully it's not injury. and also some news about him.
Yeah, that's some new. We can talk about it as well. Yeah, Tonali signed a new contract with Newcastle
until at least 29.
Apparently, you sent it to me. Apparently, it was done while he was banned. It was in like secret or something.
Yeah, seemed like. Yes. Well, technically, he had a year off of football, so
yeah,
I guess. I mean, we'll see what happens with contracts. Considering what happened to to that guy, but yeah, I'm very happy he got a new contract. Because now that means, because I know the media is starting to hype up Tonali just a bit. You know, I saw earlier PSG £52 million bid. I'm like, really? 52?
50,
Is that like the first installment?
That's what that will get his right leg, Tonali. Right.
Yeah, and obviously, you know, when he is resting during the summer, because I don't think it. Never mind.
Oh no, we're not going there. We're not going there.
He'll have a very good rest.
I hope not. I hope he doesn't rest. I hope he's playing in the summer.
But yeah, I think I wouldn't say I was worried that he wasn't playing or like the starting 11, because it was also Joe Linton who wasn't in the starting 11. It was thank God not Joe Willock. It was Ramsey and Lewis Miley, and I actually think both of them did pretty decent, I would say, in this game. And obviously Bruno's Bruno. But yeah, Tonali signing a new contract is really good. And obviously we obviously talk about our new sporting director being Ross Wilson. I mean, there's obviously, hopefully he's doing more with like Botman's contract and Livermento's contract.
Bruno as well.
Yeah. But I think out of all the players, hopefully not famous last words. I mean, Bruno's probably the easiest one you can convince, perhaps, but we'll see. And also, Nick Pope was voted into the leadership group, and the fact when he made the assist for Barnes, like the throw and all that. Yeah, I guess that was
great assist. It's always great when a keeper gets an assist. It's always like. Like Edison. It's like Edison.
Courtois almost did it for Vini last night, but you know, not all goalkeepers can replicate that. But yeah, I think, and then after the third goal, we just kept on peppering. Like literally, it got that bad for Benfica defensively. Once it was 3-0, we brought on Joe Willock, and Joe Willock almost scored from a header.
Joe Willock, that's mad.
Yeah,
Joe Willock in 2025.
Yeah, literally almost his first touch. Had he connected, he would have scored probably. You know, that's how bad it was. So Benfica completely collapsed in that second half, especially when it was 2-3-0 and all. So yeah, in terms of our Champions League, I guess we'll look at the table after we talk about Monaco Spurs. But the performance, probably one of the best, and this is the first time since the PSG 4-1 that we've won a Champions League home game. We've lost 3 in a row. Dortmund 1-0 loss. AC Milan, Miguel Almiron, 2-1, and Barcelona earlier this season.
Your first Champions League home win for a while.
Yeah, since PSG.
And it was an important win. Look, it's your 2 wins in a row.
Now, yeah, and it puts us above Spurs when we look at the table. But but performance was really good against Benfica, and you know, our next game, we're not going to preview it, but our next game against Athletic Club, I would say I'm confident with that game, and who knows, we could be on 9 points out of 12 in the Champions League, and it seems like on Champions League nights we're like, you know, a very good team. Like Anthony Gordon has like 5, 6, 7, maybe 6 GA in the Champions League, and in the Premier League,
0. Listen, I think you guys are kind of rising to the occasion, because obviously Champions League, it's like look, it's for you guys, it's only your second Champions League season for a while, so it's obviously, look, it's it's a big deal for you guys, because this time I'm sure there's a lot more hope that you guys can kind of do a lot better than you did last time.
Yeah, and also one more thing, and then we'll talk about your thoughts. The last time Newcastle played in a quote-unquote European final was the 1969 Intercities Fairs Cup.
That doesn't count.
but effectively, we played in Europe, okay?
Yeah,
Guess,
sure.
guess where the second leg of that final was played? In which country? Hungary.
Bucharest.
Where is the final of this
Or
season?
Budapest, not Bucharest. Budapest.
Budapest, in Hungary.
You're trying to tempt fate. You're trying to. I see what you're trying to do this.
The last time we won a European trophy was in Hungary.
Yeah.
Oh no, this year.
Not
in May. Budapest. Well, I have to book some flights or tickets or something.
Book your tickets to Budapest early.
I would say if we actually make the final.
Nah, look, that's obviously it's a long way till the final, but that would be pretty crazy.
That would be funny
if either of us made the final. I mean, I very much doubt it.
I mean, I know reacts. The Liverpool fans saying it would be a Liverpool Spurs final.
Yeah, I don't get how he sees us making the final. But anyway,
your thoughts?
Yeah, so from what I saw of this game, I kind of agree with you. First half, I know you took the lead, but I felt like Benfica should have scored. If I'm honest, they had chances. They obviously hit the post with one of those chances. So I think that first half, like, I'm not saying you guys were bad or anything, but I felt like you were clinical. You took your chance. You went 1-0 up. But I felt like you kind of rode your luck a bit. I feel like Benfica deserved the goal in that first half. They were unlucky not to score. But at the same time, credit to Newcastle because, you rode out that storm. And second half, I felt like it was a totally different game. I felt like you guys dominated the game. You fully deserved to win. Could have scored more than just the 2 goals in the second half. I felt it could have ended rather than 3-0, 4-5-0 with the chances. So it was sort of, you could say, a tale of two halves for Newcastle, but then even in that not great half, they still went 1-0 up. So you were clinical and you kind of, you rode out. Benfica should have done more. But at the same time, look, you kind of learnt from it at half time and took the game away from them. And that's what you need to do in that situation when, even if you're leading, if the game's not going so well and you're getting a bit lucky, you have to fix up. Otherwise, the inevitable is going to happen. So
look at Arsenal.
Oh my God, bro! Exactly. It's true. That's what it is. You have to, if it's not going well, you have to change it. And clearly, Newcastle changed something, and it worked. And look, like you said, Anthony Gordon, he's doing well in the Champions League. Look, he hasn't been good this. I don't think he's been great this season, but he's definitely in the Champions League. His performances are a lot better. I think he's kind of playing more like Anthony Gordon was. I would say. Not last season, I'd say the season before last season, where I felt he had a really good season. Haven't quite seen that in a while. Like even like the way he started this season and just last season, especially second half of last season, I really wasn't impressed with him. He kind of, was playing like the player that I thought he would be when you signed him in a way, because I felt like I didn't really see much in him at Everton. But obviously he's done much better at Newcastle than I thought he would at the time. And listen, he was getting back to those levels in this game against Benfica, but also the Champions League as well. So, look, it was an important win. Benfica, I know they got Jose now, but they were on 0 points. Look, if you speak to Strasbourg Steve, which it was the Strasbourg Steve derby.
Like, is he happy? Is he upset?
Yeah, I don't know how Steve's feeling, but Steve, look, he's been saying that Benfica have not been good this season. They've been, they haven't been good for a while, Benfica. Since, was it the 22-23 season? Since that season, Benfica haven't been great at all. So I think that it was clearly a game that Newcastle should win. I said you'd win 2-0, so I was, pretty accurate with my prediction, except you won 3-0. But yeah, look, it's a game you needed to win. It's kind of like I said with Newcastle, if you guys are going to get in that top 8, it's the home games that are very important, because I think that Newcastle, look, you guys are often very good at home. And I think that, again, in these kind of games, you have to really be, essentially rising to the occasion, and that's what you guys did for a Champions League game. You have to be spot on, and that's what happened. The atmosphere, the performance in the second half was great. So yeah, we'll see what you guys do. Obviously, you're playing. You got some more winnable games coming up in the Champions League. So it's important that especially like I said, the home games. I know you beat USG 4-0 away, but I think those home games against PSV, against Athletic Club. Those are games that for me, for you guys, has to be 6 points. And if you get 6 points, I think you're looking very strong at maybe finishing in the top 8. So listen, it was a good win for Newcastle. And hopefully for you guys, you can kind of take that form into the league. But it's kind of like you said, like clearly, I mean, I think Eddie Howe's been saying it, that there's clearly an extra motivation for you guys in the Champions League, considering, you know, what happened last time and everything. Like clearly you guys have a, you know, kind of like, I'm not saying you're going to win the Champions League. It's kind of like, not saying you guys are going to win the Champions League, but like it's kind of like, you know, in the Carabao Cup last season, where I felt like in the Carabao Cup you were just like, it's not even just like you were winning games, and like in every round, apart from maybe Nottingham Forest when you won on penalties, every round you were like steamrolling. You smashed Chelsea, you smashed Arsenal, you smashed Liverpool in the final. I felt you smashed Brentford as well. You know, you steamrolled, like, and you clearly had a mission. And I feel like you're kind of going with a similar approach in the Champions League. But I know what you're thinking. You know, you're going to start dreaming.
You know what? You can win next week in the Carabao Cup. We'll go to Budapest and win.
Listen, but look, in all seriousness, look, you guys are, I think, look, with the couple of the 2 wins in a row you've had, 7 goals scored, none conceded, albeit, yes, not the best opposition, but, you know, in the Champions League, you just have to get through. And, you know, obviously, like I said, you got a couple of games coming up, which again, aren't against the best opposition, but I mean, games that if you're on 12 points over the next 4 games, I think that, you know, you'll be, you know, looking very good for the top 8. Yeah. So for Newcastle, overall, a good performance. Should have been better in the first half. Got a bit lucky, but yeah, second half, they kind of, you know, that's where I think they truly won the game.
Yeah, and thankfully we play Leverkusen away. So
yeah, see, that's another very win. I mean, Leverkusen just let in 7, so and they're just not great. I think Leverkusen's a very winnable game as well.
Yeah, so. But yeah, in terms of overall, really good. 6 points out of 9, pretty good. But I do want to hear about some tears.
Oh man!
The only unfortunate thing is that you didn't lose.
Still unbeaten in the Champions League.
Yeah, true. But Monaco, Tottenham, how do you feel?
As soon as I saw the lineup, I just knew.
Oh yeah, I told you.
Listen, look, I understand. Look, our players. Look, like I said, we had 10 players out for this game. That's including players that aren't in the Champions League squad, like Tell and, you know, others as well. But at the same time, look, with or without injuries, you know, yes, we had 10 players out, but it's disgusting. The football right now is horrendous. And listen, you know, a lot of what I said about the Villa game kind of applies to this game, in the sense that I knew that I haven't watched a lot of Monaco, but I knew that Monaco didn't come across as the type of team that would give us any space. And no space means no goals. And it was the same goddamn story with this attack. Nothing. We only created 1 chance, which was where we should have nicked it at the end, where Brennan Johnson messed it up. But at the same time, you know, that was we can't be relying on that 1 chance. You know, we created absolutely nothing apart from, you know, causing a few difficult set pieces, kind of corners and stuff. That was it. Like I said, the team we went out with yesterday wasn't good enough. And listen, look, I hear what Baron's saying about we do like the easiest fixtures and stuff, but here's the thing. And yeah, this one as well. Here's the thing, right? What I've realized now, especially, I mean, I kind of knew it at the time, but what I've realized now is that, yeah, on paper, you see Bodo Glimt, you see, you know, Monaco, you see Villarreal, you see even the games we're going to play, you see Copenhagen, you see Slavia Prague, you see Frankfurt, you see these games, right? And you're thinking, yeah, Tottenham should be winning these games. But I'll be honest, right? And I'm not saying we're going to beat PSG or anything, because the way we defended yesterday, which I'll get into, we're going to get slapped. But what I will say is that if you're talking about scoring goals, if you're talking about creating chances, we will do much better against PSG than we do against any of these teams. Why? Because PSG leave space. PSG are going to attack us. PSG are going to come onto us. We can hit them on the break. And it was proven in the Super Cup that we can score against PSG. You know? But when you're playing these kind of teams that on paper don't sound like the strongest opposition, but because they're not the strongest opposition, it means they're going to take a more cautious approach. They're going to sit back more and they're not going to give us space. That is why we're struggling. That's why against Monaco yesterday, we couldn't create a thing. Because it's very simple. For this Tottenham team currently, especially with the injuries we have, no space equals no goals, equals no chances. And it's the same bullshit every single game. But this game, in a way, was even more concerning than the recent poor performances we've had. Why? Because defensively, we were an absolute shambles. We conceded 23 shots. Monaco missed some absolute sitters. Plus, Vicario, man of the match. What did I keep telling everyone? Where are the haters now about Vicario? Kept us in the game single-handedly, made some unbelievable saves. But at the same time, when your goalkeeper's man of the match, whoever your goalkeeper is, when your goalkeeper's man of the match, that is not a good thing for the team. That is not a good thing when you're talking about the performance. Because if your goalkeeper's man of the match, that means you're getting absolutely peppered. And that's exactly what happened. We were getting absolutely peppered. I mean, Balogun should have scored about 2 goals. Minamino should have had a hat-trick when he came on. And that's not even mentioning the multiple other chances that I can't even remember at this point. You know, if that game, the real concern I have is, yes, everybody knows about the attack. I've said it so many times now. It's nothing new. But that game defensively was the worst we've been. And if that game finishes 3-4-0, nobody's saying a word. That's the most concerning thing. If we lose 3-0 in that game, nobody is saying a word. You know? Because if I look at Monaco, they played a 3-0 game in their favor. They played a 3-4-0 game.
Isn't that what who do you call us? Arsenal fans say?
He coached to win. He coached to win.
Coached to win.
Yeah. But listen. I think the Monaco manager, I think he coached to win in that game. He coached a convincing win as well. But that's a lot of it is to do with, and I know Monaco are a decent team. They've got some good players. They're a team that haven't lost at home this season. But at the same time, the performance was a disgrace. And yes, we don't have Romero. That is a big loss in terms of just him being our captain, him being our best centre-back. But even without Romero, there's no excuse for us to defend that badly, to concede 23 shots in any game. You know, we're supposed to be better defensively now. We're supposed to not be playing Ange ball. Yet, because we're so disjointed, we're getting absolutely peppered. And I think Frank, at the moment, has to look at this and say it's got to change. It can't carry on because right now, not only are we attacking poorly, we're defending very poorly as well. We're too easy. And I think a lot of it comes from not just the defense, because I don't think they're playing well enough individually. But it also, again, comes back to the midfield. How many times am I going to talk about the goddamn midfield when it comes to Spurs? Because in a way, the midfield selection was even worse. Because, first of all, Palhinha and Bentancur together again. Once again, it doesn't work. They're too similar. They can't play together. Especially Palhinha. Palhinha, I thought, had a great game. He was easily our best midfielder again, and I think he has been for a lot of this season. He's clearly been our best midfielder. But him and Bentancur don't work together. Plus, what made the midfield even worse is that he put Bergvall in the 10. A player that every time he's played in the 10 is shambolic. Talented player. Has put in some very good performances for Spurs. But in the number 8, he is a number 8. And that is what he is. He is not a number 10. That game, he could have easily cost us 2 goals. He gave the ball away in bad positions so cheaply. And it was just Bergvall against Galatasaray all over again. Spurs fans watching, if you know, you know. You know? Bergvall against Galatasaray last season was... And by the way, he played in the 10 in that game. Probably one of the worst individual performances I've ever seen. It's so clear to me that whenever Bergvall plays in the 10, he is completely, out of his depth, if I'm honest. Stick him in the 8. If Frank started, and I know players needed to be rested, and I know Xavi, when he came on, did absolutely nothing and was very, very poor. But at the same time, if you're gonna play a midfield, have some balance to it. Play a 10 in the 10, play an 8 in the 8, and play a 6 in the 6. We keep doing this thing: 2 6s, 1 8. That's what we did yesterday. Do you see how unbalanced this is? And because there is no possession-based ability whatsoever in the midfield, right? Our technical ability drops dramatically, even though I don't think it's that high to begin with. And what happens is the midfield gets overrun and bypassed, and our defense is exposed. And that means that teams can create chances against us and get shots away. And that's what Monaco did yesterday. Breeze past the midfield and we're in on goal. Defense completely exposed. And yes, the defense have to be defending better. But at the same time, you know, there is no... The reason why we're... And if you... Not even just this Monaco game, but you look at it in the Premier League as well, why we've made mistakes defensively, why we're looking open at times. And not all the time, to be fair. We have had quite a few games this season where we have looked very good defensively. But there's been a lot of games where we haven't. And the reason for that is because we can't control a game. How many times am I going to... I'm getting sick of watching it, to be honest. The fact that we have no ability whatsoever to just control a game and just kind of, you know, play to our strengths, sort of play to, you know, take the game to the opposition, basically. We can't do it. We don't have the players. And clearly, Frank, for me, is getting the midfield wrong. Because Sarr, even more importantly, had to come in for this game. Where is he? Where is Sarr? That is my question. Where is he? I know he was on the bench. He came off the bench. Where is he? Because one of our best players at the start of the season, benched. It makes no sense to me. I don't know. It's like, as this is a Spurs and Newcastle show, obviously Tonali's a much better player, but it's like when Tonali was benched at the start of last season for no reason.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, I don't understand it. And this is where I will critique Frank, because he's making clearly terrible decisions with the starting lineup. He's not doing the right things when it comes to team selection. And we're paying the price. But at the same time, it isn't his fault also, because we don't have players that can control a game, and we don't have attackers that can really trouble the opposition. Again, in this game, Kudus was the only one that did anything. Apart from Kolo Muani when he came on, I thought he looked all right. But even then, it's very, you know, you're clutching at straws here. I'm just so disgusted. I'm so disgusted by the way we're playing. It's just the same story. You know, I was messaging you before the game. I said, you know, just whatever happens, this is going to be a painful watch. And what do you know it was? You know? It's shit, man. It's absolute shit. And the problem is I don't see it changing, because I don't think we've got the players. We've also got injuries that aren't coming back, you know, in the short term anyway. And, you know, we've got tougher games coming up. In a way, that might suit us, because the teams we're going to be playing soon will give us space, potentially. But at the same time, the way we defended yesterday was disgusting. It was shambolic, the way we defended yesterday. And it's not good enough. It's not good enough whatsoever. And yes, there are circumstances surrounding why we are the way we are right now. But at the same time, have some standards, guys. It's not good enough. It's nowhere near good enough. We deserve better, and we should expect better. Because right now, even for a so-called team in transition, it's not good enough. It's shambolic. And I've seen this performance way too many times. And now, you know, I said I wasn't panicking about Spurs before. I am panicking now, because I don't see how it gets better. And I feel like we're getting worse and worse every game. And that's my worry. We're not getting better. We're getting worse. And until something really changes, unless Frank completely changes the formation, you know, I don't see how it changes. And even then, like I said, it will only get better to a certain point. So I'm really worried. And in the Champions League, that's 2 strikes gone now. I said we can only afford to drop points 3 times across 8 games. And that's 2 strikes gone. And we've got tougher teams to play than Bodo Glimt and Monaco. Yes, two away games. I understand that, look, we haven't lost yet. But at the same time, we are bloody lucky to have 5 points. I'm not even joking. These 5 points that we have accumulated from 3 games in the Champions League are probably the most fortunate, lucky 5 points I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, you're so lucky. I'm like,
you should be on 1 point.
And you could have won the game against Monaco. That's a crazy thing.
That's the crazy thing. We should have won it. That's the crazy thing. At the end, we should have won it with that chance. That's the crazy thing. And if we had won that game, that would be it already is one of the biggest robberies ever. If we had won that game, that would have been the biggest injustice, the biggest robbery I have ever seen. And that's how disgraceful our performance was. And like I said, 5 points. 5 points. We should be on one, if we're honest. We should be on 1 point. And that should have been from the Villarreal game.
Yeah.
But we were lucky to win that game. And we're lucky to get 2 draws in the last 2 games. And like I said, that's 2 strikes gone. We have to now only not win 1 game in 6 games. I don't see that happening. I don't see us beating Dortmund. I don't see us beating PSG. I don't see us beating Frankfurt. I don't see us winning any of those games in the current situation. And even so, how much better is it actually going to get to the point where I'm going to sit here and say, yeah, Spurs have gone on a run and won 5 out of the 6 games to get us through to the top 8. I just don't see it. And that's the concerning thing. I truly believe at the moment, as it stands right now, if we don't drastically improve the way we're playing, which I think is very hard to see, I think we've blown top 8. I really think we've blown it because we've been lucky to be on 5 points so far, and we're going to play better teams than Monaco and Bodo Glimt. Even though, look, both are decent teams, especially in Monaco's case. Monaco are a good team. But, like I said, in isolation, kind of in the Champions League as one of your away games, a draw isn't even a terrible result. It's not a disaster. But it is a disaster for us because in the context of things, the performance, if we play like that against most teams, we're getting cooked 3 or 4-0. And that's forget the result. That is my biggest concern. If we play anything like that, we are getting cooked by 9 out of 10 teams.
Cannot wait PSG to repeat the 7-2, which they did. Yeah, my thoughts on Monaco, Spurs. I don't know how they not won that game, Monaco.
Mental, genuinely.
Yeah. I was like, Minamino, like a hat trick of missed chances, basically.
He should have got a hat trick, Minamino, when he came.
Yeah.
I don't know how he didn't.
Yeah. And then I think overall, this game, the 5 points you said, you're very lucky to
I don't know how we have 5 points. Genuinely, that is the luckiest 5 points.
Or the luckiest team so far this season in the Champions League. Probably.
And even then, we still haven't scored a goddamn goal from open play in 3 games. And it's disgraceful, right? Like I said, I know there's problems that Frank can't control, and I know there's, things that, we have injuries and everything. But to not score 1 goal in the first 3 Champions League games from open play is unacceptable. It's as simple as that.
If only, Villarreal didn't do that, or well.
Yeah, like I said, 9 times out of 10, we're sitting here from those 3 games. 9 times out of 10, we're sitting here on 1 point. Right now, I'm sitting here saying we have 1 goddamn point from 3 Champions League games. That's what that's what I should be saying right now.
Yeah, and then I don't know. I just feel like Spurs. Yeah, when I saw the lineup, I'm like, huh? Where's Simons?
But it's not even that. Wasn't even my biggest problem. It was just again I look at the midfield, no balance. I look at the attack, no quality apart from Kudus. It's the same. You just knew, with Spurs. The reality of Spurs right now is that even if we get results, it's not going to be enjoyable. It's not going to be convincing, if that makes sense. It's not going to be to the level that we want, basically. And at the moment, it's very difficult to see how it changes. And that's the most concerning thing for me.
Yeah. And I guess in terms of the Champions League table.
Oh, yeah. I'll get it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Unable to. Don't care. Open.
Yeah, look, you can't even see Spurs. That's the top 8 right now.
Who's in the top 8?
Newcastle.
We're back. Our run continues. But look, the top 2 play each other. That's
Listen, but I have to say, I mean, obviously everyone knows about PSG, but I have to say, listen, Bayern, don't sleep on Bayern to maybe win the Champions League.
Yeah, maybe they play Newcastle in Budapest. Who knows?
What are we doing here?
Imagine if we beat Bayern in a Champions League final.
That's crazy.
Especially, the Karl-Heinz Rummenigge. comment.
Oh yeah, if that. But I think you guys might meet in the knockout stage or something.
Oh, that would be tough. But yeah, the top 8, I get to see us right there. You know, unfortunately, we're still below Arsenal, but we're still above Barcelona, who beaten us earlier in the season. So far so good for us. I would say, even though it's only like 3 games in, I think we're top 24 now.
Yeah, that pretty much. Yeah, I think you'll be.
It's about
There's
whether
no doubt. I don't think you can have any doubt about that. I think both of us will, even with Spurs, for as bad as we've been, I will be top 24. Like, we will. I can confidently say that.
Copenhagen.
I'll say this, though. Copenhagen, our next game, has to be free. If we do not beat Copenhagen, that's when I will say, no chance, top 8. Forget it.
Yeah.
Forget it. If we don't beat Copenhagen, I'll be like, we'll be lucky to win the playoffs.
Yeah. Unless you get like one of the easier opponents in that. But yeah.
But like I said, those easier opponents will sit back against us. And we know what happens when a team sits back against us.
Oh god. So yeah, in terms of us, we're in the top 8, which is good. I don't know where Spurs are. You know, they're kind of moving like him, you know. This is like Tottenham, basically.
Well, I'll tell you where Spurs are. I mean, you're seeing it here. I mean, Liverpool, Barca, also Chelsea outside. We are 15th, but guess who finished 15th last season in the Champions League? PSG. Oh. So that means we're doing it. That means we're.
Guess who finished 15th in the Conference League? Betis.
Ah,
as well. I remember, but yeah, it doesn't look. I mean,
this is
only team with 5. You're one of the unbeaten teams.
We're the only team with 5 points. Yeah,
and unbeaten, one of them.
Yeah,
you know. Yeah. So that's. I guess.
But listen, look at the goals. Look at the goals. 3 scored. None from open play. 2 own goals. 2 own goals. It's
a
terrible.
Corner. Set piece own goal FC.
Set piece. So 1 was a set piece and 2 own goals. It's fucking embarrassing, man. It's embarrassing.
your top goal scorer is own goal.
It's embarrassing. It's absolutely embarrassing. Like I said, how we have 5, we should be 10. Do you know where we should be? We should be here.
Like we're Villarreal, Leverkusen.
We should be with fucking Kairat Almaty. That's where we should be based on our performance.
They should have won actually that game against.
Yeah, they should probably be above us as well. Or maybe I was too harsh on them.
And then the teams at the very bottom, one of them being our
Benfica,
opponent, but I feel bad for Michael. Ajax.
Yeah, Ajax. I mean, they got cooked by Chelsea yesterday.
Yeah. At least Weghorst scored, So he has more Champions League goals than, apart from Van der Ven.
He has more
this season. But, yeah.
But yeah, look, I mean, to be fair, I mean, you're seeing Atletico. I know we know what happened against Arsenal. See, Angus, you can laugh all you want, but I'll be the one laughing in May. It is what it is.
I cannot wait for, I think it's Arsenal v Bayern. At the Emirates.
Bayern are going to beat them. They always beat them.
Whoever wins and loses.
When do Bayern not beat Arsenal? Let's be honest.
I mean, I know Arsenal have beaten Bayern, but not in
once.
In the, you could call, knockout. But
how many times? 10-2, multiple 5-1s. The worst Bayern team in 20 years, knocking out the best Arsenal team since 2004. The list goes on.
We'll see in like 3-4 weeks or so from now. But yeah, for Spurs, if the Champions League ends or the league phase ends now, you either play Atalanta or Marseille, who I think would probably cook Spurs, especially Marseille if you play them.
Yeah, Marseille.
Yeah.
You talk about Bayern. Oh.
Yeah, but
Bayern. Watch, you'll see. Bayern will beat you guys. It's what happens.
we will see. Yeah. I mean, obviously.
Kane dunk Angus. Kane is the top scorer in North London derby history. He dunks on you every time.
I think let's
not do this.
I think.
Yeah, he dunks on you. I know. Look, at the Emirates, he scores a lot of pens. To be fair, but he still dunks on them. It is what it is.
And we will find out in a few weeks. But yeah, in terms of the Champions League, pretty good for at least us.
Listen, look, it is only 3 games. Listen, we're only a point outside of the top 8, even though we're 15th. We're a point outside the top 8, so it is still alive. But at the same time, there's nothing that tells me that we're gonna win the games we need to win to get there. Essentially,
Yeah. But now I guess it's time to preview.
Giddy haps. Karabakh might have more European trophies than us now. I don't know. Have Karabakh ever won anything in Europe? I don't know.
No idea. But
the Karabakh are doing all right. They're above us.
I think they should have. Actually, they were terrible against Athletic.
Yeah.
I'll be honest.
No, Angus, I agree. It is pens, but he still scores. It is what it is.
But I guess now it's the Premier League back to misery for Newcastle at least, and maybe good for Spurs. Who knows? Newcastle v Fulham is our game on Saturday, just 3 p.m. blackout kickoff time. So for me, oh god,
Angus, I don't think we're losing to Copenhagen. I really don't. Listen, I don't think it will happen, but I mean, you don't know. I don't think we will. I think we'll beat Copenhagen, but if we don't, that is one that will shock me. If we don't beat Copenhagen, I will be a bit shocked. But yesterday I wasn't shocked. Yesterday I wasn't surprised at all.
Copenhagen. I love Denmark. Don't know.
Who's Michael? Are you giving Frank more time? Yeah, I mean, in terms of the question, first of all, Charlie, not Michael. But, if you were talking about me, I don't know if there's someone else called Michael that's been in the chat or not. But yeah, I am giving Frank time. I'm giving him this season. I don't think what's going on right now is his fault, and I think he is making mistakes, but I don't think the bigger picture. If you look at the bigger picture, I think he needs time, in my opinion. But at the same time, look. We'll see. He has to prove himself at the same time.
Yeah. In terms of the Premier League games, we're playing Fulham at home at St. James's. Last season, the double over us, which was, I would say, embarrassing because we actually have.
Giddy haps, no worries, all good.
Yeah, but I think my prediction or how I feel about this game, obviously, I hope Tonali is recovered from his illness, I guess. I'm not sure what illness it was, but in terms of who I think will start, I feel like now the centre back pairing is settled. I think it's done very well. That being Malik Chow and Botman, I think so far been very good. And the fact that they're now, like we started the season with Fabian Schär and Dan Burn, right? Yeah, as our centre backs who were good, obviously. And then you still have Mike Chow and Botman now.
I think Chow's been a great signing for you guys.
Yeah. So I think I would expect the back four to be the same, which means Dan Burn left back and Trippier right back. Midfield, maybe there could be a case that it could be Tonali, Bruno, and Miley instead of Joe Linton because he hasn't done that well. Joe Linton in terms of like just this season so far. And then up front, I think the big one would be more about Elanga or Jacob Murphy. And
I actually think Murphy's your better option, if I'm honest.
Probably against Fulham, yeah, perhaps, because he made some good crosses.
Because at least with Murphy, he's not the most amazing player, but at least he can cross the ball. Like he's very good at, and with a player like Voltemada, Murphy spamming crosses, Voltemada with his height will get headers.
Yeah.
So I think he's actually a better option.
Yeah. Hopefully, it could start with him. My prediction against Fulham would be.
Listen, Fulham. The thing with Fulham is they've got a lot of injuries and they're not doing well this season.
Yeah, they've lost 3 games in a row. So Dr. Newcastle's coming.
Yeah, Dr. Newcastle.
But I feel like we need, surely we have to take some momentum because I don't remember, if I'm not mistaken, maybe I might be mistaken, but I think we haven't won back-to-back games in all competitions so far, I think.
Nope.
If I remember, I think.
Tanner, you're going to do it. Not cutting my hair until Newcastle win back-to-back games.
Oh, no. Well, we'll see. But, I mean, Man United are currently on course 2 wins out of 5.
But listen, do you know with Man United, if they're going to win 5 games in a row, the 5th game is against us. Imagine, I want them, do you know what it is? I want them to win their next 2 games and then we beat them. So then the guy that has to cut, the guy that hasn't cut his hair is so close. And then it's just, and then that one game.
But if it is against Spurs, we'll talk about it hopefully when that time comes. But I think we Newcastle have the best midfield in the Prem. Yeah, I say we look.
Newcastle's midfield is great. It's a really good midfield.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we still have Joe Willock, even though he's not really a starter, but surplus to requirements. But a good midfield. We still, in terms of Premier League, only won 2 games out of 8. So this is kind of like, I mean, it's only game 9, this one, but you could say it's a must-win in terms of like just get some momentum. And I guess the motivation is, can we win back-to-back games in all competitions? Because I don't think we've done that yet. So I think that would be a big thing for us this week. And also because, after this game, we play Tottenham, which we'll do a preview on a different stream or a different video. So we will preview that when the time comes. But, we need some momentum heading into this the Carabao Cup game. So hopefully we play. I still think, I hope we win. I'll back us to win, but I don't know by how much, because sometimes we can turn up and destroy teams like we did against Benfica.
Yeah.
Or we could kind of like be a bit, what do you call this?
See, here's the thing with Newcastle under Eddie Howe. These are the kind of games where you're a bit, you're not consistent in these kind of games.
Yeah, like the Wolves game or even the Forest game, whereby.
But you just look at the results. I mean, like last season, like you guys were, you were beating Liverpool in the cup, and and then you're losing to like Bournemouth 4-1 at home, and like Fulham at home.
Actually,
yeah. So you're not consistent in these kind of games.
Yeah. And so I think hopefully the form continues for us, at least, because they're on 3 losses in a row at the moment. We're playing Athletic Club, so the opponents of Carabao, which I would say I'm confident when the time
Athletic Club, yeah, they're not good this season.
Yeah, I know they beat Carabao, but Carabao maybe could have gotten a point. But I think for this game against Fulham, I'll probably predict us to win. I'll go, please, a win, just a win. I'll go. I mean, we've won games 1-0, Wolves, 2-0, Forest, 3-0, Benfica, 4-0, USG. I'm saving that for Wednesday.
Oh, great. I can't wait. I'll
go similar to that Forest game, probably 2-0, I would say. But I do think we need to kind of start, showing up in the Premier League. So I'll go 2-0. I'll say, why not Voldemort again? And to be honest, every time we had a corner against Benfica, I remember Malik, and actually just in general, when we have corners, you usually expect Dan Burn or
Well, you should be scoring from corners.
Malik Chow has actually been really good in terms of like heading or like for corners or whatever. I'll go, why not, Malik Chow and Voldemort. So the 2 Germans to score for
new signings as well.
Yeah, because I think Malik Chow has been really good when we attack corners, and obviously defending, obviously. But attacking corners, he's been really good.
The thing that surprises me with Newcastle is I would expect you guys to score more from corners, considering you've got like the tallest team in the league and stuff. You've got like these giants, and you don't score a lot from corners.
Yeah, and then we got beaten by a corner against Aston.
Well, they're just corner FC, so it is what.
I mean, Liverpool are as well.
Oh yes, yesterday.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, but in terms of Newcastle, look, Fulham aren't great at the moment. They've got, Muniz, who always scores against us. I'm pretty sure he scores against Newcastle as well, from what I remember.
But I know.
Yeah.
Muniz.
Yeah, Raul Jimenez. Yeah, Raul Jimenez. I mean, he's not really the same player now, really, is he? So, I mean, they've got Robinson's out. Robinson, I think, is a really good player, and he's obviously a big miss for them. So, listen, Fulham have a lot of injuries. They're not doing great in the league. I think they're only a point behind Newcastle. So,
I
obviously,
mean, we were ahead of Brighton before our game.
yeah, exactly. So,
because we do have a decent record against Fulham.
Fulham. Apart from last year, I remember you guys often do quite well against them.
We've beaten them every single time, apart from the two
apart
games
from last year. Yeah, so typically you do well against them. Look, listen, Newcastle should win this at home. You rested the likes of Tonali for this game, so you'll have some players coming back in. Yeah, look, Fulham aren't really offering too much, especially going forward. I reckon Newcastle win. I think that it won't be like an easy game. Like obviously Silva, I think, is a good manager, and he has done really well with Fulham, but I think Newcastle will edge it. I'll go 2-0 Newcastle as well. I think it won't be like the best game, but I think in the end you'll probably score like 2 goals in the second half, I think. So yeah, for me 2-0 Newcastle. I think this is obviously definitely a winnable game for them. But they have to win. I think this is a must win. I think this is a must win for Newcastle. Just where you are in the league with the results you've had, you really need to win games like this. And this is, for me, is a must win for Newcastle. And I think they'll win. I think they will win. So I'll go 2-0.
Yeah, and hopefully we predict or preview the same. It's Everton against Tottenham. And this is Tottenham's first visit to the Hill Dick.
The Hill Dick Stadium.
The Hill Dickinson Stadium, which I'll be honest, like when you watch the camera angle, it looks like the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
We were talking. I remember we were talking about that before, because I think the reason it does it's because they're both new. Like let's be honest. I know from the outside they look completely different, but from the inside it also looks different. But from just the camera, it looks similar because it's just. I think it's just new. It's just what modern.
I'm not sure. Maybe it's the same architect.
Maybe, maybe.
But yeah, it's your first visit. Well, we Newcastle have to wait a bit later. But your first visit to their stadium, and I think so far actually Everton's done well at their new stadium, which
unbeaten. I haven't lost.
Actually. I'm not surprised that it's not like the West Ham when they moved to their new stadium, or even Spurs back in 20.
Well, we started well. I remember we started really well as well. So it's kind of, I'd say it's kind of similar to how we started at our new stadium.
Yeah. So I think this game against Everton, how do you feel?
I'm not confident. Listen, first and foremost, I know it is our first visit to the Hill Dick Stadium, but the Hill Dickinson Stadium, should I say? But the facts is that I know it's good. I know it's all been Goodison Park, but we haven't won away at Everton since 2019 or 2018, December 2018, when we beat them 6-2. The year we got to the 6-2.
Oh, was it? I thought 6-3, but
6-2 when we got to the 7. Yeah, basically when we got to the year we got to the Champions League final, we beat them 6-2. Since then, we've drawn every game apart from last season when Ange was 3-0 down at half-time to Calvert-Lewin. To be fair,
he's not there.
He's not there, but the interesting Everton's a weird one because overall Everton are one of our best fixtures in the sense that we do really well against Everton at home usually. But then even away, I know we haven't won there for a while, but we've only lost, I think, 2 games there since 2010, I think, which one of them was last season, of course. So overall, Everton are a team we typically have a very good record against. They're a team that we often get wins against consistently. But like I said, Everton away in recent years has been not good for us. Everton away has been a real problem for us. And one thing I will say about this fixture is, in a lot of those draws that I've mentioned, I know it didn't happen last season because obviously we were 3-0 down.
Oh, I remember. I think it was Michael Keane, the 1-1 just before you played Newcastle.
Yeah, I was going to say, and so many of those draws, there's always a fucking last-minute equalizer. It's fucking annoying. Every time, it feels like every time we play Everton away, they equalize against us in the last minute.
Was it, what do you call this? Was it Everton away and then you came for the 6-1 against Newcastle?
It was. But do you know what it is? The Michael Keane, there was that one, the Michael Keane one. And then the year after, in Ange's first season, there was the Brathwaite one, the 2-2. when he equalized in stoppage time. So, and then there was before. Do you remember the toss? Do you remember the toss-in one? Schenk toss-in.
Yeah.
When Son wrongly got sent off. When I know Gomez, it was a horrific injury, but it wasn't Son's fault at all. If for those that know, so there was that one, and then like every time there's a fucking last-minute equalizer against Everton, I can't be doing this again. Genuinely, I can't be doing this again. Listen, it's a fixture we've drawn a lot. Everton away, lost last year, but I'm really concerned about this game. The reason I'm concerned about this game is, you guessed it, Everton are not going to leave us space because David Moyes loves to play terrorist football most of the time. He's done well since he's gone back to Everton, but we know the type of manager that Moyes is. If he needs to, he will stink it out. He will sit back against a lot of teams. And that is not the type of team we love to play. This Everton game is just, I know exactly how it's going to go. It's going to be the worst, probably like the most unwatchable game in the league this season. Everton, they're doing okay. I mean, Grealish is back, so I think Grealish is obviously a danger.
And
I mean, in terms of Grealish and NDI as well, both of them are doing well for Everton this year. But that's not what I'm worried about the most. I'm worried about us not being able to break them down. I think Braithwaite is injured, so they might have like Keane there, who I don't think is very good. But still, he did. But it's just the fact that they're going to sit back. I know what's going to happen. They're going to sit back, and we're not going to be able to open them up. It happens. Everton. I'm telling you right now, Everton are not the type of team we want to be playing right now. They're not especially at their ground. This is not. I'll say this right. This is one of the worst fixtures we could have right now. This type of game couldn't have come at a worse time, to be honest, because it's fair to say we're out of form. We're on awful form, especially in terms of performances. And our clear issue, we're playing a team that will cause us this clear issue, which is not giving us space. I'm not confident. We can't score goals. We're not creating anything. And against Monaco, we couldn't even defend. And I think Romero's probably going to be out again for this game as well. So we're not even going to have our best centre-back and our captain. Listen, I think this is going to be a draw. I'm not quite decided yet. I reckon either 0-0 or 1-1. It's going to be one of the two. 0-0 or 1-1. A very poor game. A game where we can't break them down. And what will happen is it's either just going to stink its way to a 0-0 or, we'll score because they'll make a mistake because they don't have the best centre-backs. And then, who knows, maybe it'll be another last-minute equaliser like it is a lot when it comes to Everton away. Hopefully not. So, I don't know. I'm not confident. Everton is not the type of team we want to play against. So, yeah, it's going to be a draw. I'd bet money on that. I'm not a bettor, but I would, if I was, I'd bet money on this game being a draw. So, yeah, this is either going to be 0-0 or 1-1. This is going to be another tough watch, unfortunately.
Yeah, my prediction, considering that I remember this was 1-1 like 3 years ago, and then we smashed Spurs 6-1, and guess who Spurs play next after this Everton game? So
here we go.
Preparation. I actually do hope it becomes a bit entertaining. But I guess I'll go. I mean, Angus is going for
of course he is. Yeah, of course he is. I don't think Angus has ever. I know. Look, I think I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't think Angus has ever predicted us to win. But that's understandable. That's understandable. But yeah, I totally agree with this. This is facts. This is what I've been saying. Exactly this.
I'll go. Why not 2-2? Why not? Maybe a couple of mistakes from Everton or a set piece. Maybe Spurs become set piece FC eventually, but they don't count. Maybe that would be an interesting.
Listen, I'll admit it. Right, I think Porro is a great player. I'm a big fan of him, but he's another player that's out of form right now. He's not playing. Against Monaco, he was awful. So, listen, I like Porro, but at the moment he's out of form and he's not playing well. So I wouldn't be totally shocked either, if I'm honest.
Yeah. So I'll go my prediction 2-2 in preparation.
Are they Ted, I'll ask you this. Are they going to equalize in the goddamn last minute?
My prediction for who will do that, I will go.
But are they going to?
Yes, and it will be the Burnley man. What I forgot. What was his first name?
Tarkowski.
James Tarkowski. Last minute corner, bang, that sort of thing. Last minute, Everton have equalized, and then you then have to go travel to Newcastle and then 5-0 for us.
Listen, we'll talk about that game, of course, but let's just say, I mean, a bit of an early preview. I'm not confident. That's all I'm going to say about that.
and based on my confidence, you can see how I feel. But yeah, and I guess very quickly, Palace 12. I mean, Arsenal.
Angus, to answer your question, I think you're playing really well. I mean, Palace will be a tough game for you, but I think you'll beat Palace at home, if I'm honest, sadly. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I'll go 2-0 Arsenal in that one.
Yeah.
And then last bit, I have no faith in our attacking team. Spurs score goals. Can't rely on Mohamed Kudus. Yeah, it seems.
Yeah, facts. That's what I'm saying. Kudus is the only one. He's the only attacker that's played well this season.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess we will. What do you call this? Finish off the show. Almost 2 hours, and had we previewed the Newcastle Spurs, it would have been at least 2.5 hours or more, because obviously it's between our teams. But yeah, we'll do a show, either a stream or a video. Probably be out, I guess Tuesday. I guess just before.
Yeah, it'll be out after both of us have played this weekend.
Yeah, on the weekend.
Probably on Tuesday.
Hopefully, I feel even more happier about Premier League form at least by that time. But yeah, obviously I do my show on, well tomorrow for the 3-0. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Bro, this guy scammed 2 goals against Atletico. Like, let's just be honest. Like, this guy. Let's be honest, Angus. He has not been to the expectations that you had for him. Just let's be honest.
Yeah, but yeah, I guess obviously I do my show tomorrow about La Liga, which very quickly, very happy about that decision by La Liga.
Yeah, that's good.
Cancel the Miami game. Let's see if Serie can carry that, I guess you could say.
I hope so.
But yeah, I obviously do my show 2 p.m. UK time for that. As for Charlie, what do you have?
Yeah, so obviously there'll be the preview for Newcastle. And probably there'll be a match reaction, won't there, after the Everton game? Where probably not going to be too happy, and then there'll be a match reaction after Newcastle as well. So, and then of course on Monday, La Pina Rosa as well.
Oh yeah.
So, but yeah, we'll see what happens in the games ahead.
Yeah.
Angus, you haven't won anything. Yeah, I agree. If you win it, nobody cares, but you haven't won it yet. So it is what it is. I know you didn't say that, but the way I'm hearing a lot of your fan base, you've got it wrapped up apparently. So.
Historic double. That's why Son.
Yeah, AFTV, exactly.
Historic double, Champions League, Premier League. But how about the Carabao Cup? But yeah, I guess we'll wrap it up here. Nearly 2 hours. But it's been a good show. Probably more for me, apart from the Brighton game.
Yeah, look, you had a win to talk about. That's the difference.
Yeah, actually, the only win we talked about in this. But yeah, one last before we go.
Oh, this guy's shameless. This guy's so shameless. Gyökeres, oh my
God. Gyökeres in every game. Gyökeres against, I don't know, some.
Gyökeres against anyone that isn't Leeds, basically.
This.
Yeah. That's what it is. Against anyone that isn't Leeds. Yeah.
Yeah. Or
Atletico. Yeah.
But I guess we'll see you guys in the next one. And as we always say, this show will be at around this time.
Yeah, no, the new time is 11 a.m. UK time.
Yeah, on Thursdays. So yeah, looking forward to probably, I wouldn't say the Premier League games, but looking forward to Newcastle 5, Tottenham Hotspur on Wednesday 0. And
we will not be there. To be fair, Tem will agree with that.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, one last bit. We're still 0 GA. Oh God.
That's a way to end it.
Yeah. So we'll see you guys in the next one.